Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. Our government has made a series of tremendously bad decisions just in the past year, but it's kind of just many years of bad decisions. So let me start off with one part of this. Recently, Congress approved a $1.7 trillion budget. Now, out of that $1.7 trillion, they approved a defense budget of over $880 billion, nearly $900 billion. So, out of $1.7 trillion, more than half goes to the war budget. Now, some people don't seem to have a problem with this. Every year the defense budget goes up and goes up and goes up. The problem with this is that money thrown into weapons, the defense budget, this is a black hole. To maintain, people will say, well, it creates jobs building weapons. Oh, good for you. I pointed out before that you can create jobs building hospitals, schools, fixing infrastructure, providing health care. There are many things you can do that would create more jobs in more areas, doing more good for more Americans than building bullets and bombs and whatever. But one problem with that, even if you take that part away, which, by the way, SNAP benefits, food assistance for Americans, has been decreased, and so has housing assistance. So more Americans are going hungry, food insecure, and homeless. The last numbers I heard was that in 2023, 38,000 more Americans became homeless. But let's build more bombs. Sure. Okay. Does this improve your quality of life? No, it doesn't. In fact, this tends to cause inflation. For one thing, the more you're taking these resources, steel, iron, coal, fuel, energy, etc., and putting it into weapons production, the more you take it out of the general economy. You increase the demand, which means you increase the price, which means the cost of your car goes up. It means that the cost of a house goes up. Your electric bill goes up. And as energy prices go up, then the cost of everything else goes up. So this leads to more inflation. And the jobs that it creates, think about what this entails to maintain those jobs. To maintain those jobs means that you are mandated to maintain the use of those weapons. That means you have to continue fighting war after war and fighting. And if one war is ended, like Afghanistan, then you have to start a new one. Oh, here's Ukraine. Ukraine may end soon. Oh, well, let's turn toward Israel and Taiwan. Fight toward China, etc. So there's never going to be an end to this. Yeah, George Orwell in 1984 said, "The war is not meant to be won, it is meant to be continuous." Look how long ago he predicted all of this. And, of course, it was already going on back then. So it wasn't really a prediction, it was an observation. But, so, if you end the wars, if you reach peace, that means those jobs disappear, which means the incomes disappear, which means the people that had those jobs get laid off. Now they're not able to pay their car payment. They're not able to pay their mortgage, their rent. They can't buy groceries, and so forth and so on. So you have to keep waging war after war after war, otherwise your economy collapses. And as far as GDP growth, which is something I've gone into in the past, GDP growth is not necessary. We don't need growth, we need stability. It's how the money is distributed, how it's spent in the right way to help American people and to end conflicts. So, for there to be GDP growth under these conditions in a war economy, that means that you have to wage bigger and bigger wars, which means also that the cost of everything goes up more, so you're spending more. You spend more this year. You cause inflation with the materials that go into this, microchip, all the things I've said, plus microchips and rare earth minerals. So now those things become even more difficult, and the demand has gone up, so you have to pay more for it. So you have to increase the war budget next year, and so it goes up next year. So you have to increase the budget again the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and it never stops. It never ever stops. Even if you're producing the exact same amount year after year, the amount that you're paying for it keeps on going up. But do your wages go up? No. This has already caused inflation, as I pointed out. So your cost of living has gone up, but your wages have not. So your quality of life has declined. Got it? All right. So, other problems that they have done. Recently, the Biden administration endorsed the idea of seizing $300 billion from Russia, worth of Russian assets, $300 billion. Well, here's the problem with that. Okay, fine. Yeah, even if you're against Russia, this poses another problem. First of all, under international law, this is actually illegal. They have to pass new laws internationally to approve this. And those laws have not yet been passed. But other countries are looking at this, and they're saying, well, if they can seize Russia's assets, they can seize ours. Remember, it wasn't that long ago, 2009, 2010, that Russian-American relations were improving. Remember Hillary Clinton with the reset button that Putin just looked at her like she was crazy for, because there was no cultural equivalency to explain this. It was like advertising for Staples or something. I'm pretty sure that's where she got it from. But, yeah, so Russian-American relations were improving, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's gone. And so just because a country realizes, Saudi Arabia realizes Look at U.S.-Saudi relations right now. They look at this and they go, well, America could try and seize our resources too. China's looking at this. Everybody's looking at this. So countries are no longer investing in American debt, U.S. Treasury bonds. So how the debt is funded. The U.S. national debt has now reached over $34 trillion. $34 trillion, you can't even imagine a number like that. That's an increase of $2 trillion since June. Our national debt is increasing at a rate of $1 trillion every 3 months. The interest on the national debt right now is $1.5 trillion a year and climbing. It's increasing. The more the debt goes up, the more the interest goes up. And other countries are looking at that and they're saying, no, you're not even trying to pay off your debt. Would you loan money to somebody that just keeps on taking on more debt and taking on more debt? No. The only thing that is keeping other countries right now buying U.S. debt is the return that they're getting on it. But the Federal Reserve wants to decrease the interest rate and as quickly as they can, which means that the returns on U.S. Treasury bonds will have to decline. The only way that other countries are going to buy that debt is if they're getting a high rate of return on it. You think about this, the way that the debt runs is on, the U.S. budget runs is on IOUs. If other people aren't buying that debt, then where's it come from? Imagine I set a budget for myself of $1 million a year. I walk into a grocery store, I fill my cart up to the top. I walk up to the cashier and say, I want to buy these groceries. He's, okay, well, what are you going to buy it with? Well, I've got a budget of $1 million a year. Okay, well, where's the money you're going to pay me with right now? Well, I don't have it, but but I've issued these bonds, these IOUs that people haven't given me the money for the IOUs yet. And they're like, no, it don't work that way. Sorry, you can come back when you got the money. But I'm the U.S. government. I'm good for it. If you don't have the money, you're not exactly good for it. So sooner or later, many people are expecting the U.S. government to default on our debt. And what will happen to the U.S. dollar, which our credit rating has already been, dropped down, we won't be able to borrow money without significantly increasing the returns on the debt, which means increasing interest, increasing debt, and this will not stop. If you think that somebody like Donald Trump has or had any other candidate had any solution to any of this, you think about the fact that, or to world peace, you think about the fact that Donald Trump bombed Syria twice, he bombed Iraq, killed an Iraqi general, increased U.S. military presence along the Russian border, increased our presence in the South China Sea, introduced tariffs that increased the cost of goods coming from China, gave tax cuts to the wealthy, which just enabled the debt to accelerate even faster. These people don't have any solutions, and for anybody except for their wealthy friends. Those are the only ones that they have any solutions for. And no, the economy was not doing well under Trump. We had what was called the retail apocalypse in 2019, and by September of 2019, the Federal Reserve was running the repo market bailout. 9,600 businesses went under. Retail outlets went under. Over 200 trucking companies went out of business. So don't think there's any solutions there. RFK Jr. is talking about the free market. That means he wants to privatize your Social Security, your Medicare, your Medicaid, and everything else. It's libertarian economics, which just doesn't work. Other bad decision was just yesterday, last night. The United States, even though we haven't given more money to Ukraine in this budget as yet, it will. They will. But we're giving money to Israel to wage genocide on the Gazan population. And now, last night, the United States, along with the UK, bombed Yemen. This is not going to turn out well. Israel has already attacked not just Gaza, but they're also attacking Syria and Lebanon and Jordan. Now they're roping Yemen into this, and all these other Middle Eastern countries are not exactly happy with this. Meanwhile, the United States opposes. They support Israel against the case in the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, against Israel for war crimes and for waging genocide. Which, by the way, this is the ICJ, it's not the ICC. The ICJ is the International Court of Justice, also known as the World Court. The ICJ is a civil tribunal that hears disputes between countries. The ICC, International Criminal Court, is a criminal tribunal that will prosecute individuals. So if somebody brings Netanyahu up in front of an international tribunal, it will be the ICC. The role of the ICJ, I'm reading this to you. The ICJ has a dual role: to settle in accordance with international law the legal disputes submitted to it by states, countries, and to give advisory opinions on legal questions referred to it by duly authorized international organizations and agencies. So, there's the difference there. And this was brought by South Africa, I believe, but it's not just South Africa that has supported this. Here is a list of the countries that are supporting the actions against Israel. That's a pretty big list, isn't it? United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Syria, Sudan, Somalia, Saudi Arabia, Palestine, Pakistan, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Yemen, Libya, Kuwait, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, Egypt, Brazil. So there are a lot of countries that are stating that Israel should be held accountable, but the United States opposes that. So sooner or later, the Middle East is absolutely going to blow up. I'm sure Saudi Arabia is, they've given a diplomatic answer, response to this, stating that de-escalation needs to occur, but behind the scenes you can count on the fact that they are not happy. Remember, Yemen and Saudi Arabia and Iran reached peace agreements mediated by China this past year. And, you know, Syria is part of that. All of these different countries. Syria has been welcomed back into the Arab League. These countries, they feel, they very rightly so, that this is an attack on the Arab community, the Arab world, in the Middle East. But Yemen has, you know, their actions have shut down transport through the Red Sea, which is going to cause significant inflation. And by the way, since the United States and its cohorts bombed Yemen last night, as of this morning, oil increased by over $3 a barrel. By over 3%, about 3.5%. So your gas bill, your energy bills, they're going to be going up. And there's no end to this in sight. There is no solution to this, except for what? More warfare. These are tremendously bad decisions. And there is no good outcome that is conceivable with any of it. If we are not trying to achieve peace, if we are not thinking about our people, if we are not producing things that other countries want to buy, if we're not improving our relations with other countries, then this is only going to continue to get worse. We can't continue like this, but we will, under this administration and any other administration, potential administration, that does not offer some kind of actual solution to these problems. It's only going to continue to get worse. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this campaign. Let's work toward a more peaceful, prosperous world. Let's work together toward this. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.